Okay, so go ahead and do these four. We know how to do them because we just did quadrantal angles. How do I know they're quadrantal? Well, in one way, they're multiple of 90. And another is if you graphed it, the terminal side would be on an axis. There's negative 180. So do those four, then turn me back on. Okay, so this would be the point negative 1, 0. 1 unit, r is 1. So a sine is y over r, so it'd be 0. 0 y over r. 360, wee, boink. So it'd be the point 1, 0. And cosine is x over r. Since we're doing 1 unit away from the origin, it's 1. So 1 divided by 1. Yay! Negative 90, wee. So it's the point 0, negative 1. R is 1 because it's a point 1 unit away. So tangents y over x, oh no, it's undefined. And then secant's the reciprocal cosine. So 180 is here. So that's the point negative 1, 0. Cosine is x over r. So secant would be r over x. 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Now the trouble is, what if you're not on an axis? So what if I say, like, what's the sine of 120? Oh no! That's probably off. But I can't pick up, I don't know a point on here. I don't know. So I can't just pick a point. So what was discovered was that you can actually change a trig function in the different quadrants if you find the sine and something called the reference angle. So you have to find two things. Now first, we're going to take two triangles that we know. And in geometry next year, I think it's a whole chapter just on these two. I could be wrong, but I think the whole chapter just on these two. So, sine of 30. Here's 30 degrees. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 30 is always a half. Now, if this was 3, then the hypotenuse would have to be 6 because it's always twice the side opposite the 30. Cosine of 30, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And these are the ratio of the sides always for this triangle. For 45, 45, 90, it's always 1, 1, square root of 2. So sine of 45, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over the square root of 2. So normally I make you memorize these 9. And then we have pop quizzes. But you're at home. I'm not going to do it. So just write this chart. So when you have to find out what's the sine of 60, you know it's square root of 3 over 2. Now if you get bored, if you're sitting at home, you're like, wow, I'm bored. See if you can memorize those. In fact, have your parents say, hey, look, parents, if I get all 9 of these right, give me $5. Because it's going to help you in pre-calculus, it's going to help you in calculus, and not a whole lot in geometry. It might help you a little bit. Then you should memorize these two. It's just going to help you in the long run. But again, I'm not going to make you, the first time in 30 years I haven't made people memorize it. Now what we're going to do, so get this by your bed or desk or whatever, and this by your desk so you have it, so you need it when you need it. Now what we're going to do with this video is first find the sine of the trig function. Then the next video we'll do reference angles and hopefully finish this up. So, anyways, so in the first quadrant, x is positive, y is positive. Now, r is always positive because it's a distance. So all the trig functions are positive. In the second quadrant, x is negative, but y is positive. Now again, r is always positive. So what trig functions would be positive? Well, the trig functions that have y and r, because they're both positive, which is sine and cosecant, the reciprocal. In this, x is negative, y is negative, and r is positive. So what's positive in the third quadrant? Well, anything that has x and y, which is tangent. The other four, and cotangent, the other four would be negative. And then in the last one, x is positive, y is negative, and r is always positive. So what's positive? Well, what has x and r? And that would be cosine and its reciprocal secant. So the first quadrant, all of them are positive, always. Second quadrant, sine and cosecant is positive. Cosine, tangent, secant, and cotangent are negative because x is negative. Tangent and cotangent is positive in the third. So if your angle's in the third quadrant and it's tangent, it's going to be positive. So if I said, okay, sine of 300 degrees, is it positive or is it negative? And you'd say, oh, 300. It's in the fourth quadrant. Y is negative, so sine 300 would have to have a negative answer. Check it with your calculator if you want. It's true. So if I said, okay, cosine of 150 degrees. Well, 150, here. Second quadrant, let's see, x is negative. Oh, so cosine is negative. Sine would be positive. How about tangent of 240? Well, you would say 240. Let's see, we were in the third quadrant because 270 is right here. Let's see, x is negative, y is negative, so tangent is positive. Yay! So that's the first part of dealing with reference angles. So, good.